This isn't a moral failing or a moral weakness. It is a disease. It is classified a disease by every definition of the word disease. And it is a chronic disease that, if left untreated, leads to death. Just like if you left hypertension untreated, diabetes untreated, heart disease untreated, it leads to death. Our son, our youngest son, Corey, passed away on January 24th, 2014, after a 13-year battle with substance abuse, starting in high school years. We spent 13 years battling the problem: psychiatric care, rehab facilities, sober living, multiple trials, not only in Massachusetts, but all over the country and even out of the country. And we won some of those battles, but we eventually lost the war. The grief process started for me years ago, and part of that may have been my way of working through my own recovery of this process, because this is a family disease, but recognizing that there was always the risk that my son might not survive it. I wanted to raise awareness about the loss on the Cape, and taking the lead from the Chris Herron Project Purple, decided to use purple flags and plant them on the rotaries of Cape Cod for every loss on the Cape. And we did that over June of 2015. No banners were put up, just the flags, to draw attention and to make people ask the question, what are those flags about? This is representing the number of people that have died just on our own little island of Cape Cod, never mind across the state, across the country. So a lot of people tell me they don't know what to say to someone who's lost their child. And it is probably one of the most insufferable losses. But the most important thing is not to say nothing, because for myself and for many of us, the most important thing is to talk about our child and to feel okay that it's okay to talk about our child. And we want to hear you talk about our child and share your stories about them with us, because we keep them alive with our memories. And the worst thing is to not say their name or avoid talking about them, like you're going to hurt our feelings. We've already experienced the worst hurt possible. And don't ask, just deliver a meal, come over, mow the lawn, pick up the dry cleaning for them, or telling them you'll babysit for their children so that they can go out and maybe have a therapeutic session for themselves or go to a support grief meeting. I think those are things that are really helpful for people in grief. Some of the saddest families that I met in my grief support network were families who had no clue. They had no clue that their children were using drugs, or had no idea that their children had been using drugs for an extended period of time before they came to them for help. And so it really became apparent that we have to do a much better job of education, and not just educating kids, but educating parents. Unfortunately, many times what I've seen in these community education programs is we're not reaching the audience that we need to reach, which are parents of young families. Somehow they need to get the education, because they don't know what they don't know, and what they don't know could possibly lead to the death of their children. And to me, that is the biggest tragedy of all, because I think that's very hard to live with for families who have lost their children who didn't know.